A mind-blowing presentation. Thank you so much
Sure.
for coming all the way to making us none the wiser. I've got 3 questions that have come through so far. You can continue to send them if needs be. We have got a couple of minutes. So, number 1, number 1 has changed. I want to talk about your reference to AI and also your reference specifically to the talent on the African continent and the average age and what that will mean in the foreseeable future. So the question goes, how much of AI will potentially disrupt the youth population dividend as expected in your view?
Well, if we take this in an African context, many different parts of Africa do not have good enough school systems. With AI, it will get cheaper rapidly. Right now, the costs of what you'd call tokens, I would say they're falling by about 4x every 18 months. That's the best estimate I hear. So I think in well under 5 years' time, you will have an AI-like device on your smartphone, on your hardware. It won't even need an internet connection, and it will be somewhat better than the current GPT-4. It won't be the very best AI in the world, but it will be as free, say, as other services on your phone. And if you're young and growing up in Africa, you will have the chance to learn many, many more things. You'll have an individualized personal tutor that could teach you what you want to know. I don't know how many people will properly take advantage of this. I think who your parents are will matter more than before. Do your parents encourage you at an early age to learn from the AI? It's not just you learn from the AI, but the AI will grade you. So if the AI has been working with you for like 8 years, ages 6 to 14, the AI has a good sense of your talent, and employers are going to want to buy that information. Mm-hmm. So people who are talented will be found much more readily. So I'm mostly bullish on this, but for people who do not have encouraging parents, it will be a real issue that they won't have this AI-generated training from an early age, and they'll be at a comparative disadvantage.
Sure. What about the schools that are okay on the continent in South Africa? What role do you reckon the schooling system can play differently in identifying talent quite early?
Well, teach kids how to use AI in a proper way early on, but I think just have as a conscious goal and purpose identification of talent of all kinds. Many, many schools, including in the US, have this for sports. They do a great job in sports. Everyone goes to gym class. Everyone has to try a particular sport. If someone's good, it's pretty visible. And just have, I think, more testing, more evaluation, more chances to learn things, bring in more role models from the outside world, more instruction in AI. How the family operates is very important. That's harder to steer using policy. But all these are things that can be improved, I think, is the important point.
He's interrogating your data. So the 20 to 40% of US economic growth since 1960 due to the better allocation of talent. How was this measured?
If you look at narrowing wage gaps between blacks and women versus whites over time, those wage gaps have narrowed greatly. So that means blacks and women are being used more effectively, have more fair chances to get into better jobs. It is still, to be clear, highly imperfect, but much better than it had been. So if you take the value that has been added by the narrowing wage gap since 1960 and take that as a share of overall economic growth, that's how we generate that number. It is, of course, imprecise, but I just think it's also just obvious. So if I need medical treatment, the chance that my doctor is a woman from India is really very high where I live. When I was a kid, until I was, 15, 16, I'd never seen a person from India. So, that's the future track of the world, and there are great gains on it.
Okay. Do you believe that institutionalized diversity, equity, and inclusion, or even transformation policies within companies improve the contingents that capture talent?
There have been some studies lately that look at US companies, and the ones that talk a lot about diversity, equity, and inclusion do not on average have better records in actually doing diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I feel that too often it is a substitute for real change, real action. I think too often people hire others who are just like themselves. They have too narrow a notion of what quality or creativity means. And by expanding people's horizons, I think people traveling more, living more in areas with a relatively high share of people from other countries, that will help a bit. But I don't feel these DEI programs are really making a positive difference, no.
Okay. Question that's probably similar to the questions that you fended from the people in your circle and the people that know you have been to, is it 100 countries, you said?
A bit over 100 countries.
That's a lot of countries.
It's a lot of countries.
Yeah. This particular individual wants to know, from a youth perspective, is there more value in exploring foreign countries or nurturing your talent in your own country? Where do you want to go? But yeah, to explore other greener pastures or to water the grass, essentially, where you're currently standing?
I think it depends on what you want to do, and it depends on your temperament. So I'm a person, I travel relatively well. Jet lag does not crush me. I adapt pretty easily. If something's a bit different, I don't freak out. Also, I'm an economist, so I see too many US economists. All they know is the US, maybe Canada, and they have a very narrow vision. And I think the more of the world you see, you will see more contingencies, you will see more possibilities, you will understand that you're reacting to something very culturally specific in your own country, no matter where you're from. So that to me is highly useful. I'm not convinced it's highly useful in all avocations. So I don't think everyone should travel a lot. It may be hard to afford, or you may need to be at home caring for elderly family members, whatever. So it's case by case, but I would say at the margin, especially in the US, we have so many people who don't even have a passport. And at the margin, we definitely should encourage young people to travel much more. And, not just to fly to the beach at Cancun or go to Canada, that's good too, but really to go somewhere far abroad and a bit challenging. Mm-hmm.
But come home, so go learn whatever you need to learn and come and bring it home and develop it at home. How can we identify the less obvious forms of talent on a large scale in a country like South Africa? I know you did put a disclaimer to say that you're no expert here, but maybe this is even a question that can apply to any other country in the world in terms of identifying that less obvious talent.
I think simply being aware of talent as a major thing should be a kind of obsession, as it already is in many sports. At the risk of self-promoting, I have a book. It's just called Talent. It's co-authored with a venture capitalist. It gives a lot of specific tips from me. I'm not sure they all apply to a South African context, but the book is a way to start thinking. It's not a book of final answers. So I would recommend my own book, but I think most important is just to see it as a national and educational priority.
Two last questions at this stage. Yes, two last questions. How does work ethic feature in the talent framework? Often one hears that hard work beats talent. Is there any truth?
I would phrase it a little differently. I think IQ is overrated. What is underrated is the ability to perceive which are the correct hierarchies you should be pursuing, and then to do that in a determined, concentrated, persistent fashion. So simple hard work can very often not get you that far. There's plenty of jobs, you work very hard, and at the end of the day, all you do is come back for another day of hard work. So understanding the right hierarchies, not always hiring the smartest person, but the person who sees and understands how the system operates and how they can climb through the ranks of that system. That's in general what I recommend.
Okay.
That will beat the smarter person almost every time.
Okay. Last question. I'm not sure if it's a question for you, but
maybe it's a question for you.
No, it's a question for an individual. In fact, I think we need to X this individual at him on his personal handle. Maybe he'll get it. But in any case, so your example of the Google CEO being from India is interesting. Elon Musk is South African, but not a great South African ambassador. Why is this?
That's a complicated question. Let me first say Elon Musk is one of the most admired people in all of North America. He is also one of the most disliked. But he is also one of the most admired. until, 2 years ago, it was almost entirely admiration for what he had done with various companies. Just mind-bogglingly impressive. He could have stayed on that track. Why did he deviate? I've heard multiple different theories. Some say too much politics. Some say buying Twitter is a mistake. Some talk about drugs. Some just say he got too restless. Some say he felt overloaded with so many companies. I genuinely don't know which of those or other hypotheses it might be. But I think he's still much more of an inspiration than not. And, like all people who do amazing things, we are all flawed. And I would say, look to the best and learn from the best of what he and others have done.
I think that's a perfect point to end it on. But Tyler, thanks so much
Thank
for
you,
your time,
Fifi.
sir. Great pleasure.